Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast, presented by Blue Moon. Made brighter, get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. I'm Cody. That's Ryan.
Hello.
Welcome. Luke is not here today. It's just us. Credit to us for being here.
Yeah. Luke, I feel like Luke's taken, in the 2 years we've been alive, like
he's taking more days off.
Close to 8 months, probably like 33% of
He is a father to 2 little children.
And
Sarah's like,
so what?
Not so fast.
Leave the boy alone.
Anyway, happy, Tuesday? I think Luke will be back tomorrow for sure. At least on our show somehow tomorrow. But
Corey will be here tomorrow, too.
Corey
right?
will be here tomorrow.
Birthday boy today.
Happy birthday to Corey. I think I won't say his age, but we're like the same age. So I'm 32. He's either 32 or 33.
So you didn't, okay, but you didn't say his age. You just said 2 of the years it could be.
I know that he's like my age, all right?
All right.
So I don't know exactly which one. Early 30s, all right? Credit to him for being born and being here as long as he has. Credit to everyone in the YouTube chat. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. All the diehards, as Luke says, they're running wild these days, man. They keep coming and coming, and we got more today. Nathan, Jan, Ronnie, and Jacob. Credit to you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for becoming diehards. You are the reason that I get to come here and do this every day. So
our new best friends.
Yes, my new best friends. But I see our good friend Gary in the chat. I see Vanilla Chill, Barb. We are live.
I know
Michael,
Susie's here, Carlos.
Susie, yes.
The usual suspects are
Usual suspects, yes. W. Collins, hello. Niren, hello. Jordo, Godfather, how could we forget you?
He's
all right.
always here.
Anyway, before we get started real quick, just wanted to mention, we haven't mentioned this in a while, but we have announced our takeovers for 2024. We got the Crosstown, one of the Crosstown games in June, on June 4th. We're going to Milwaukee on June 29th.
That'll be fun.
And then September 6th, the Yankees come to town, which means Anthony Rizzo making his return to beautiful, historic Wrigley Field for the first time. So if you want to see me cry, come hang out with us on that day, all right? And then also, we released this yesterday, our Chicago collection, the new merch, as Luke says, the dope merch. It's out. More new dope merch. The pizza hoodie is a must cop, and everyone on social media has been talking about the pizza hoodie.
Yeah,
right?
everyone loves that one.
I need no less than 5 pizza hoodies. That way, I can wear one every single day. All right. So
yeah, well, they're all awesome.
They are
our
all
guy,
awesome.
Our guy Eric,
for sure,
amazing graphic designer, but they're all awesome.
But if I had to choose one, it's definitely the pizza one. All right. I already coughed once, just for Luke. One other thing, we just released this today. It's for diehards only, the roster database. We have it for Sox too, but obviously for Cubs. This is the Cubs podcast. Mm-hmm. If you're a diehard, you get access to it. Ryan, can you explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah. It's we're obviously a little over 3 weeks away from opening day, and Cubs 40 man appears to be pretty much set at this point. Mm-hmm. So I went in and Jared, obviously we know Jared Willis hops on the show. Helps me out during the season, and we collabed on it, filling out just some of the player pages for all the 40-man guys, whether that's a prospect that maybe not a lot of people have heard of. I would think like Porter Hodge might fit in there, or just someone that's not completely on everyone's radar, all the way up to the Cody Bellingers and Dansby Swansons of the world, right? So it has their recaps from 2023, look forward to 2024. And then just some of the content that we've done in this offseason that includes them, obviously. So right now it's just at the 40-man, but my plan is to continue to add to that throughout the offseason or throughout the rest of spring training, which spring training invites, guys on minor league deals, non-40-man top prospects, the Cade Hortons of the world. So if you're into that, we've put it in the Discord, and some of our Discord people have given good feedback. So if you're into that, make sure, if you're not a diehard, make sure you become a diehard.
Well, I mean, we just giving you another reason to become a diehard outside of just the fact because you guys love us. But Yeah, go check that out. I did my part in inserting as many things content-wise in terms of videos, stuff like that, shows that we talked about specific players. Yeah, again, check it out. Become a diehard. All right.
I'm a diehard.
All right, let's get down to business. Also, we have 10 likes. I know we just started, but please hit the like button. There's 60-some people here.
We need more.
We need more likes, please. Thank you. All right. The big news of today at this point, the MLB Pipeline released their top 30. We're also going to talk, Ryan sat down with Patrick Wisdom at spring training when we were out there. We're going to play that in the middle of the show, so stick around for that. But we're going to start the show with MLB Pipeline releasing their top 30 for 2024.
Officially,
And
finally, I've been waiting on this one.
I've been waiting my entire life for this, right?
I live and die by Jim Callis's MLB prospect ranking, so I was waiting on it.
I guess, shall we go through it real quick, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't pick up the highlights, right? Like, I think everyone knew PCA was going to be number one. I don't think he was in danger of dropping there. But then you have Cade Horton, Owen Casey, Michael Busch, and Matt Shaw rounding out the top five. And it is still kind of funny to think, like, Michael Busch feels like a big leaguer already, right? Like, he feels like he's 26.
Yeah.
We talk about the fact that he was just blocked and he, just didn't have a lot of opportunities to break in with the Dodgers. But he has the feel of a big leaguer. But you think about it, he really doesn't have that much experience in the majors. He is still a prospect, and a top 100 prospect at that, depending where you're looking. And obviously in a very strong Cubs system, he's ranked number 4, which is just goes to show you that, yeah, again, a guy that just couldn't get a shot with a consistent opportunity with the Dodgers could still be a really good impact player for this team if he gets a shot.
Yeah. So, you just named the first 5, right?
Yeah.
I was loading it up while you were saying them all, so I wasn't completely paying attention. So at number 6, we have Kevin Alcantara, who just hit a home run in spring the other day. I said on the show, I think last week, his build, it looks like Major League Baseball player to me one day. James Triantos at number 7, Moises Ballesteros number 8. Catcher / first base. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops this year because I have listened to some of our favorite Cubs prospect guys talk about this is kind of a year where they need to figure out if he's going to be a catcher or if he's a first baseman / DH probably. Then a guy who probably is going to make the opening day roster, Jordan Wicks at number 9. So he hasn't technically graduated yet, but to see him at number 9 with all these other prospects ahead of him I could think it just hammers down even more just how deep the system is.
Yeah. Well, he's another guy that I was I saw it, I'm like, oh, damn, he is still a prospect too. He's only had a month in the big league. So
right.
Another guy that you're just think of as a big leaguer at this point, but then you're like, wow, wait, actually, he's a prospect. And yeah, he's number 9. There are 8 guys that, at least in Jim Callis' mind, rank ahead of him. So it's a pretty
have
deep.
A higher ceiling perhaps. Number 10, Jefferson Rojas, which the real sickos out there are really excited about this guy already. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
But at 18 years old, and at least on MLB Pipeline, they think he's a 2026 guy to debut. I mean, things change, obviously, over time.
Yeah.
But I've seen him take a few at-bats in the spring so far. The stance, the swing itself, it's been impressive to me for someone at his age, his level.
Well, he actually had the biggest jump on the as far as moving up in the system. He went from not ranked last year to number 10.
Yeah. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, so they see a lot in him, and like you mentioned, he's only 18, but he was he was in single A already by the end of the year. I guess a slow A. So he's got plenty of time for development, right? Especially when you think about he's a shortstop, and the middle infield is pretty deep as far as you got Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner for at least the next 3 years, combined. Yeah. I think Swanson goes for another 2 after that, 2 or 3. But then you also got guys like Matt Shaw and others that you look at and yeah, these guys could also be middle infielders or just around the infield for the Cubs in the next few years. So
he's definitely got a high ceiling, one that based off his jump just through the system in terms of ranking, you got to believe he's going to be in that top 100 at some point. We'll see.
Be interesting.
It'll be interesting. Ben Brown, another guy who we'll probably see in 2024. He comes in at number 11.
He fell a few spots. And I think part of that is
the injury.
I was going to say, I think we'll talk about it with Brennan Davis. Like, Brennan Davis had a very far drop, but, like, a lot of it was just he missed a lot of time with injuries and stuff like that, and other guys were able to pass him up. I think Ben Brown, like, he obviously struggled a little bit towards the end of the year, and also had the injury, so there's that all affects it. But I think we're still looking at Ben Brown as a guy that can impact the Major League roster at some point this year, right? As long as he goes out, shows he's healthy, which I talked to him in spring training, said he was. That's two coughs for you.
I know.
Said he was feeling good, feeling healthy.
Just hammer the over.
And I think one of the things that I really like to hear from him was being accountable for just the issues that went wrong, really digging deep into what was going wrong prior to the injury, whether that was like lower half mechanics or pitch usage type stuff, and really, digging in on that this offseason and working on it. So I think that's a good sign for a young guy, obviously, a guy that's developing, hasn't made the big leagues yet, and just to see what he can do, right? Like, he's got to go out and prove it, right? They're not going to just give him a opening day spot if he doesn't prove anything. They're not going to call him up if he doesn't prove anything. So it is up to him to earn that shot. But there was a lot of hype around him the last couple of years. And, again, I think he's someone that can impact the roster.
I hope so, because he likes our show and he likes me. So I hope he does turn out. Number 12, Alexander Canario. Obviously a guy who perhaps could make that opening day roster as well. I don't know how much – I don't think he needs any more at bats in AAA outside of the fact that he missed most of last year, right? So, just maybe they kind of look at it. They could look at it kind of like how they did with Christopher Morel last year, where it's like get the guy going, get him consistent at bats in April, and then maybe once you kind of have an idea of the roles for some guys, as the month goes along, maybe he could get called up, but I'm leaning that I think he'll be on the opening day roster. We'll see.
I lean the other way, just based on without knowing if guys are going to for sure miss time to start the year.
Fair.
Again, as we talked about yesterday. I'm sitting here, reading what Craig Counsell says, what the Cubs say for Ian Happ, and I would say, okay, based on what they say, they're optimistic. He's on opening day. Okay, if I'm projecting things, he's on the opening day roster. Obviously, if he doesn't, I think that bodes pretty well for Canario's chances to be on the opening day roster. And then again, the whole magical morale thing will also affect that as well. So, but we'll see. But I think I lean the opposite way for now until we kind of really see. I think these next 3 weeks are going to be pretty telling about his chances.
Do you agree with me on that though? Like the idea of how they did it with Morel last year, to just get those consistent at bats, to maybe get him going.
In a way,
coming off that injury.
In a way, but I wonder if also having him. Because again, the Morel thing, if Morel can't play third base, you need to play him somewhere.
True.
Right? True. So that would probably take away at bats for him at DH for Canario in that scenario. I wonder if also just having him in a lower intensity environment in AAA just to start the year, let him play every single day, outfield and batting, and just kind of, again, just find that rhythm because he did miss a lot of time last season. Just get that rhythm early. I would say he's not that far away, even if he doesn't start the year with the Cubs. I don't think he's very far down the totem pole of options if a need arises. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. I just lean the way of my gut would tell me right now that he's probably starting in the minor leagues, but that can absolutely change for sure. Okay. That's definitely not a guarantee for me.
For sure. I think in a way, some of the people in the listening or watching probably need to hear that because I think a lot of people kind of believe that he's on automatic on the roster. But I do think, the third base situation does play a big part in that decision making, right? Number 13, Fernando Cruz. I don't think he was on the top 30 last year. Was he?
No, he was just recently signed.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't he just part of – he was their biggest international signing this offseason, right?
Yeah, I think it was only – I'm reading it right now, yeah. $4 million bonus in January, second largest in franchise history for international player behind. Can you name?
Christian Hernandez.
Nope.
I don't know.
$6 million. Jorge, behind only the $6 million Jorge Soler received as part of a $30 million deal.
I forgot about Jorge Soler.
Also,
and the huge
Fernando Cruz, Starlin Castro's cousin, apparently.
Oh.
So there you go. But yeah, no, just recently signed and already in there. A lot of hype. We heard it when they signed him. Like a lot of hype around the kid.
Sure.
But 17 years old, so he's got
17. He's already in the top 15. Yeah. Shortstop projected at like 2029. So will be interesting to see how he develop or how they develop him over these next couple years. Number 14, Michael Arias, a guy that we've talked about a little bit this offseason, who they put on the 40-man. He was a position player. They turned him into a pitcher, throws gas. I don't think he was in that top 30 last year either. He's now up there in the top 15, which is exciting. And then Matt Mervis at number 15, a guy who I think a lot of people keep forgetting about. With the idea of the Cubs adding Dom Smith and Garrett Cooper, it does make me wonder how many more days he has left with the Cubs.
And just where he lands on that totem pole.
Right. And I know those are minor league deals, but it's like you have Matt Mervis. You're not giving him the what is the point of this, right? So that's just the reality of it. I personally would like to see more, but I'm just telling y'all the reality, right? So number 16, Luke Little, another guy kind of like a Ben Brown, kind of like Alexander Canario, who we talked about.
Yeah. He's someone I actually wrote in the database. If you check it out, here's a sneak peek of the database for you guys. I'm probably projecting him to be on the opening day roster.
Yeah.
As just he has really, really good stuff. And as far as left-handed relievers go, the Cubs just don't have many, like depth at all. And if you're looking at it right now, where Drew Smiley is still competing for a starting job, like I expect him to be in the bullpen, but he's still competing for a starting job in spring training. Luke Little is the only left-handed relief option on the 40-man right now.
Sure.
So I look at it as he's I'd lean more that he's going to be on the opening day roster.
I hope so, because they need that left-handed power pitcher, man, than that bullpen. They got some guys who don't have any options, but they got two spots there, and I feel like Luke Little is, he has a good opportunity there. Also, his dad's super nice, so I'm rooting for him.
Luke Little is also super nice.
Yeah. Number 17, Drew Gray. I think he was in the top 30 last year, but like towards the back end of it, he's moved up to number 17. Left-handed pitcher, I believe, probably going to be a reliever. B.J. Murray, who was in the Futures game last year at number 18, third base.
B.J. Murray, the one that went to Michigan that Corey loves?
No, that's Jordan Nwogu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
B.J. Murray.
Honest mistake.
It says on here he could debut this year, first base / third base, so that's interesting.
Florida Atlantic. You went to Florida Atlantic.
FAU.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a few of those guys, right? Whereas I think there's a few of those guys where, like a B.J. Murray type or some others, where they've moved steadily through the system, but the Cubs have also brought in a lot of talent, whether that's drafting Matt Shaw and he's already at Double-A to end last season, or bringing guys in at trades, right? Like there's a lot of talent that they've brought in the last couple of years, that guys that have been around for a little bit, while they are moving through and progressing and developing, like there's not a lot of opportunities coming for guys that you look at and you're like, maybe he's closer to big league ready than not. It's like, oh wait, no, there's a lot of guys that are starting to get to that point. And so I keep seeing it in the chat, but like some of those guys are not going to debut for the Cubs this year at all. They're not going to play for the Cubs.
Right.
That's going to happen at some point.
At some point, I've been waiting for it.
I mean, you talk about with DJ Herz. DJ Herz was a pretty nice prospect for the Cubs last year, and they went and traded him at the deadline for Candelario. I can't remember who else was in that deal. But
Kevin Mate.
Yeah. So another guy that was who knows when he would have debuted for the Cubs if he ever did, but was a guy that we're comfortable sending him out right now for a piece we need at the major league level. I would think that there's some guys in this system that may have the same fate and could actually get a different chance with another team.
Sure. Number 19, Pedro Ramirez, infielder as well, projected 2026. And then number 20, Luis Vasquez, who I do think could be on the Cubs as like a bench player at some point this year. He's a great defensive player. He's going to be in Iowa. I think if there's an injury or something, added depth, I think he can come up and be something like that. If he can hit, like if he can become a better hitter, man, he could be a lot more valuable, right? But
that was the thing, right? It's like he really improved offensively last year.
Right.
So what, a 817 OPS versus prior to that, like he wasn't hitting very well at all, but he was a really good glove at shortstop. And now he's on the 40-man too. So I don't know if he's due to come up anytime soon, but like in a pinch.
Sure.
Like we saw Nico Horner come up like from his couch to come join the Cubs right at the end of what was it, 2019. So like crazier things have happened. Vasquez could be part of that depth, and again in a pinch, the fact that he's on the 40-man makes it pretty easy to get him up if needed.
Yeah. We'll do the final 10 here after these ads. Let me tell you guys about Empire. With Empire today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low-price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have copycats. Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone that does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. Their virtual floor designer is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. All right. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday. Flooring is all Empire today does. They live and breathe flooring. So you can be confident you're getting honest and upfront advice. They pride themselves on their convenient shop-at-home service. They help customers shop for floors where they can use their floors so they can see exactly what their new floors will look like in their home's lighting and decor so they can make an informed decision. Service our own warranties. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service all warranties themselves. You won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
You know what I love?
I know you love Mizzou, but
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm assuming, because I saw you drinking it earlier, Blue Moon.
Love Blue Moon. Love Blue Moon, but especially love it. You get the little orange slice in there, you throw it in there.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that on like a summer day, or you go out for I don't know, a burger or something, and you just get a Blue Moon on the side. And
I'm telling you, man.
Or there's nothing better at 3:30 p.m. Sitting in the office, I'm like, you know what? I could use a Blue Moon right now.
Absolutely. I mean, you wake up, Blue Moon. Go to lunch, Blue Moon. Go to dinner, Blue Moon. Like it gets
work out, Blue Moon.
Yeah, exactly. Like listen. It tastes good any time of the day, man. Yeah. All right. I do love a good Blue Moon, and I've said this many times on the show though. Blue Moon with wings. I think that they go perfectly together with that orange slice. That's my go-to for a Blue Moon, especially like if we're talking about food specifically. So
I know you're still 30 to before opening day.
Yeah.
But if on your next cheat day, is that?
Oh yes. What you're gonna get, right? Oh, absolutely. I've been thinking about it all week already. I know it's Tuesday, but I've been thinking about it since I woke up yesterday morning. All right.
Oh yeah. But made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
Hell yeah. All right. So before we get to this Patrick Wisdom interview, we can go through this last 10 really quick. At number 21 was Hayden McGeary. Number 22, correct me if I say his name wrong, Derniche Valdez?
I think it's Derniche.
Derniche?
I think.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'll figure it out before 2028 when he's supposed to debut, all right? Derniche Valdez.
17, so yeah, you got some time.
Pablo Aliendo at 23 is a catcher. Old pal that we've talked about before, Christian Hernandez at number 24. I believe it's his brother right after him at at 25, Alexis Ramirez. Number 26, I'm intrigued about this guy, and I'm excited to see his season. Jackson Wiggins,
Yeah, second-round pick last year.
I believe was used with the comp pick that the Cubs got from the Cardinals for Wilson Contreras.
I think so, yes. I think you're right.
I have not forgot about that, okay? Number 27, Brandon Birdsell. Number 28, Brody McCullough, who the last three I just said are pitchers. And then 29, Porter Hodge, who I was watching the other day, and his one inning was really impressive. I mean, he's had some really good moments in the minors so far. I see him debuting at some point in 2024, probably as a reliever, obviously. So I'm excited to see how he does to start the year in the minors. I'm in the number 30, Josh Rivera, shortstop, who was taken, I believe, in the third round of last year's draft.
Out of Florida,
Florida,
yeah, pretty sure.
So, I mean, listen, I'm not Jim Callis. I'm not our friends Greg Huss or Greg Zumack. I don't run the Cubs on Deck podcast. I love those guys. I listen to them all the time to get like their, because they're following Cubs prospects more than I am. I take a lot of what they say to heart sometimes. But what I take away from this all the time is that there are names on here that I've heard of that I'm high on too, like Brennan Davis. Like Brennan Davis, he just has to be healthy and he can be something. It's not like he's bad, you know.
Yeah, it was less than 2 years ago. He was a top 20 or 15 prospect in baseball, depending where you look. Like he was on a really good track and then had some injury issues the last couple of years that, what's that? And then obviously the concussion last week is just like it's a lot of bad luck for him the last couple of years. But he's, but I think that also goes to the fact that when we talk about this, or this system, this farm system being pretty deep, and then you look at some of the names on here that you do see moving up the system, that you do hear about, that you do, that do get talked about as potential contributors in whatever role at the major league level now in the next couple of years or even further in the future. Like there's a reason that evaluators that actually get the time to spend a lot more time than we do looking at prospects are there's a reason they're so high on this Cubs system. So yeah. I mean, you point out Brennan Davis, the fact that he's out of the top 30 right now is like he's still a guy that could potentially impact this ball club at some point.
Sure. I like him. And this shows what kind of sicko I am, but like when the Cubs draft, or after I watched a video of Nazir Moulay doing an interview after he was drafted by the Cubs like 2 years ago, and they talked and how he talked about how he wants to be a two-way player. And I was like, if the Cubs...
You were picturing Ohtani.
Yeah, I was like, if the Cubs develop their own Ohtani, let a guy dream, right? And then he had Tommy John this past year, so he's going to be working himself back this year. He's super young, came out of high school, right? Like
that's the academy, I think.
Yeah, that's another guy. Like whether he ends up being a two-way player or not, like that's a guy that I'm excited to see get back on the field and do something. Another guy that we've kind of talked about as well, Ethan Roberts. Like he's not technically a prospect anymore, but I don't think at least.
I think he still is.
If he
only
is,
had the month in the big leagues before he got hurt. So.
Well, either way, like an injury thing that happened with him, right? Like I want to see him, bounce back from this Tommy John surgery that he had. So there's a lot of names that aren't in this top 30 that excite me, or at least make my eyebrows raise a little bit. And at the end of the day, that's good that they have this kind of depth in their system, and that's why they're ranked. Top 3 in Major League Baseball for farm systems on not one, but like every single outlet out there, whether it's Baseball America or Fangraphs or, MLB Pipeline, whatever. And it like 2 years ago just was not that. And, we can sit here and say, okay, they don't have like that Chris Bryant, like stud, like maybe PCA or Cade Horton can be that. Maybe Matt Shaw develops into more than it develops into something great. I mean, he's just sky flying through the minors, whatever. Maybe Alcantara, the ceiling's so high for him, but like you have to remember that Chris Bryant was great immediately, right? And I envision all these guys to go through their ups and downs, and I don't expect them to hit their ceiling in year one. And Chris Bryant didn't hit his ceiling in year one, but I mean he was rookie of the year, all-star, all these things helped lead the Cubs to the playoffs, basically, and that's a high ceiling to reach, So I guess that's like the only thing about the system that that leaves me, a little wanting more is just like they just don't have a guy like that. But
the thing is, the way I look at it with the Cubs, they don't need that guy. They can go out. They have the ability to go out and buy those guys.
For sure.
They do.
Absolutely.
Like, they don't have to be like some of the other teams in their own division that really have to develop their own stars. Like the Cubs don't necessarily need to do that. They can go out and get stars, and spending all money on free agents is not always the best route to go. We know that, but they do have that ability, and as long as they can bring up a farm system that just continues to churn out good, productive players, they may not be all stars, but good, productive players. That is how you build the base and foundation for a really good team, a really good organization.
Yeah. So again, I'm with you on that for sure. I guess it's more about like if there was a guy in here that could develop into something huge, I listed some of the names, but at the end of the day, like as long as you continue to develop guys like this to where you have guys who can come up and make an impact for you in some way or another, that's more than what they had during the golden era, especially in the back end, right? So that's that. Okay. Patrick Wisdom. Do you have a good time talking to Patrick Wisdom?
Yeah, I do. He's a really good guy. I mean, you see it when he does at the Cubs convention, when he's the last couple of years he's been at the kids press conference and having a lot of fun doing that. I mean, just his personality is really good. I think he's obviously a thoughtful person and very reflective on like his own career and issues and whatever.
Sure.
No, I do really obviously I enjoy talking to Wisdom. It was great to get him on camera and to be here just to talk to him about kind of what he learned about himself last year, but even the last couple of years, and just kind of where he's looking at right now with the Cubs. And obviously one of the things we talked about and learning from, like, I don't let people forget. I don't know that people forget that he was on that 2021 team with the World Series heroes. But he was, like, it was only for like 2 months, I think. But he was on there and got to be around those guys for a while. And so we talked about just kind of taking lessons from a lot of those guys. And obviously Kyle Hendricks is still around. So, interesting insight into what, like, his mind and just his thoughts on the Cubs and him and his role this year.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it, like with the roster the way it is right now, like in the influx of like first basemen that they have, I feel like he's gonna be here, but I'm not lying. Like we're playing this just in case he's not in 3 weeks. All right. So I personally hope he is, because I think the value that he has for how cheap he is really good, and the way that I think the Cubs are going to use him in 2024 is good. So anyway, let's do this, Sarah.
All right, I'm Ryan Herrera for CHGO Cubs. I'm sitting here today with Patrick Wisdom. Patrick, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I mean, it's hard to beat this weather out here. Spring training is always fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the third, fourth spring training now with the Cubs for you?
Yeah, this will be my fourth, yeah.
Yeah, so what's it like being out here, being in Mesa, at Sloan Park, and just the whole environment here at Cubs camp?
Yeah, I mean, this complex is top-notch, and so, having nice facilities is always a plus, but the guys in the clubhouse really make it, and the staff. It's always fun being around everybody and getting the group together again to start off another great year. So one thing it seems like, every Cubs fan loves about you is just kind of the energy you provide, the personality. Whether you're dancing on the field, whether you're a staple at the kids press conference at the Cubs convention now. Where does that come from? Where does that personality come from? I mean, I think just how I was raised, and then also I think, being a little kid, being a fan of baseball, going to games and seeing how certain guys interacted with one another or even with the fans. I always tried to gravitate towards those guys that were super interactive, and so I always knew, like, when I became a big leaguer, I always had those aspirations to give back, be the smile face that the kid sees, and be so welcoming, because I mean, you're gonna make that kid's day and probably even years. So I always kept that in mind, and it's just who I am. So I love interacting with everybody.
And so obviously there's a lot of different personalities in the clubhouse, different cultures, different backgrounds. How do you feel like this group, whether it's the guys that have come over from the last couple of years or guys that have been added this offseason, how do you feel like this group has gelled so far? I know it's early in spring, but we're like 11 days in now, 12 days in. But how do you feel like the group has started to gel so far?
I think we're gelling really nicely, especially from day one. And Council did a good job of establishing that from the get-go, and just informing us that being connected and being a team, finding joy is the foundation, the strong foundation that's going to carry us through hopefully November into the World Series. And so making that an emphasis from day one has really helped us gel, obviously from the start.
And adding someone like Shota Imanaga or Hector Neris, a couple of just, again, different personalities, what has that injected into the clubhouse that maybe not that wasn't there before, but really kind of stands out?
I mean, something that stands out with Hector, the other day I saw him sitting at his locker, and he had, I don't know, maybe 8 pitchers around him, and they were just talking about certain game situations, certain bullpen stuff. It was just really cool to see him, and it was Adbert sitting there talking, Leiter's there sitting there talking, so guys that are established and around, but he also had, guys who haven't been in the big leagues. And I think to have somebody like that to bring people together is huge, especially in the clubhouse.
So obviously take it back a few years. Drafted in 2011, I believe was the year. 2012. Yeah. And 2018 is when you got your first shot with the Cardinals, but obviously the next couple of years were just kind of limited time, or just not the opportunities you would have wanted. As you're kind of going through those years, just how do you handle that mentally, where it's like you're putting the work in, you're trying to get that shot, but they're maybe just not coming obviously as often as you'd like?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, and I think I learned the hard way in terms of how to handle it all. Definitely some dark times, but I think knowing that I have resilience and to be able to get through that, you come out on the other end super strong, and knowing for next time what to do and what not to do. But yeah, you just stay strong in your confidence in yourself, knowing that you're gonna get your shot. But it's a lot of self-awareness, self-confidence, and really honing in on your craft. Even though you're not getting your shot, it's still, you got to stay true to who you are.
And so when you do obviously come to the Cubs in 2020, you're with them again in 21, and I think it was May 25th, 2021 was when they called you back up, and you never gone back down. You've been with the Cubs ever since. Just what that opportunity to be with the Cubs and to be playing almost every day, what has that been like over the last few years?
Amazing, yeah, more than I could have ever dreamt of. Getting called up, like you said, in May of 21. Didn't know really what my role would be and how long I would be there, what that was all going to look like. So I was up there having a great time, and then flourished, and then carried that into the next year, and the next year just knowing that they value me. I'm an important part of this piece, and that was really comforting, and also being able, allowing me to relax a little bit even more. So the guys in there are great, the staff is great. And I mean, this organization is top notch, and so I'm happy to be a part of, their piece.
And so obviously, when you did come up in 21, you got to spend a few years with the previous core, quote unquote, right? Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, guys like that. What did you learn from them? Again, it was only a couple months, but what did you get to learn from them as far as what it means to play here, what it means to be a champion here, and then just overall, what did you learn from guys like that?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it right there. Is how to be a Cub for sure. What it was like. The legacy that's been passed down, the history that's involved with this organization. Like you said, that championship mindset, those are the guys that won the World Series. And so to pass that along, to see how they went about their business, to see how much pride they had in wearing the uniform, it was a great learning experience for sure. But also I really appreciate more so how they went about their business, and I learned how to be even more of a pro and what it took to put this uniform on.
And so now obviously you've gotten to see the way the team, the roster, the organization has kind of evolved over the last couple of years, bringing in guys like Dansby, Nico taking on a bigger role, say Craig Counsell even, new manager. What have you thought? What have kind of been your observations? Obviously as someone that's on the inside, but just the way the team and the organization has kind of evolved in the last couple of years, as moving on from that previous era to now trying to get to this new one.
Yeah, I think I'm in a unique position because I came in with, like you said, like we just touched on the older crew, and then I was here for, a lot of the new people that are coming in, and so it's definitely really cool to see, the transition of the organization, and I think they're doing a really good job of putting the right people in the right spots. And like you said, the additions of Dansby, of Counsell, Seiya, and now Nico becoming more of a leader. It's really great, and you have guys who have been here almost the longest, and
Kyle obviously.
Yeah, Kyle too. Yeah, the professor, right? For sure.
He's the one that was champion, and now he's still around.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So you're just leaning on those guys to lead the way in the Central for lead by example. It's just really cool to see where this organization is going to be going, and to be a piece of that is definitely very gratifying.
So for you, obviously going into this season, we've seen you, even just in spring, taking a lot of work over at first base. You obviously have experience. You've played some first base for the Cubs. You played some first base in the minors. But what have you learned are like the differences of playing that position versus playing third, or you got some time in the outfield as well, just the differences and the challenges of playing that position?
Yeah, I think for me this year, when they said like, hey, get some more reps at first, I made it a point to do it from the get-go, and like let's do a lot of the individual work over there. Let's do a lot of footwork over there. So I'm getting more comfortable with doing it instead of, hey, yeah, you're gonna go play first today. Oh, okay, let's go hurry up and do a bunch of work. For me, setting that standard from day one has allowed me to, be more comfortable over there, and just set a precedent like, hey, the work's got to be here. Also at third, right, I'm not taking anything away from my work at third, but it's just putting a more emphasis on first, so that way, during the year, I'm more comfortable over there.
And obviously you're working a lot with Michael Busch, new addition this year, brought in from a trade from the Dodgers. What have you liked to see, to get to know about him, see him work, see him practice and workouts and what like that? What has it been like to kind of get to know him? Yeah,
he's a phenomenal dude. I met him at Cubs Con, and then getting down here, we've played catch almost every single day, and obviously doing my work at first, being around him and see how he moves and picking up on things that he does at first. I'm like, oh, okay, like, looks like he's feeling it nice and smooth, like I'll try that aspect, and then watching him hit is pretty pure too. So what a great dude, and I'm excited to see what he does this season.
You mentioned hitting. Obviously one of the biggest parts of your game is the power, the home runs. 2021 you break Chris Bryant's franchise rookie home run record, I believe it was, but in the years since you still keep hitting home runs. What is that like for you? What is it like to see? What's it like to watch the ball leave the yard?
Yeah, I mean, doing it at Wrigley is awesome. To hear the fans go, bananas for it is so cool, and it's something that it's been ingrained into my heart and into my memory. Yeah, it's just nothing like it, honestly. But yeah, I mean, that's it's part of my game, and I definitely work on it. But there's other avenues of hitting that I definitely want to get polished up, and so trying to add tools to my tool bag, if you will, and then that way just be more of an all-around pure hitter. But there's nothing like driving the ball at the ballpark at Wrigley, especially big moments. It's awesome.
Yeah. So when you mentioned wanting to polish up a couple other tools, I mean, is there anything specifically you've worked on this offseason to improve in the other areas of your game?
Yeah, I think just cleaning up the swing path to be more consistent in the zone, longer in the zone, gives you more room for air, and that way you can put more balls in play. And when I do put the ball in play, good things usually happen. So it's just a matter of doing that more consistently. And then obviously the power's there, and it's not an issue. It's just how can I put the ball more consistently in play, and then let the good things happen.
Yeah. So we're here again, a couple weeks into spring training now, a few more weeks left till opening day. What are kind of your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish these next few weeks while you're out here before obviously the season starts?
Yeah, I think every hitter will say the same thing, is getting that timing down, getting that rhythm down in the box, and then obviously getting more innings at first base, getting a lot of ground balls over there, and then obviously third too. So I think it's just getting more things I would say would be getting more comfortable at first and then fine-tuning the timing at the plate.
One last one for you. Cody Bellinger, he's back with the Cubs. News dropped this morning. Were you asleep when that happened? Did you see the news this morning, and what are your kind of reactions to bringing Cody Bellinger back?
Yeah, let's go. I'm happy to have Belly back. I read it this morning, yeah, so that was a great thing to wake up to, no doubt. And then, yeah, I mean, he's awesome. I'm so happy that he's back. Good in the clubhouse, good on the field. So, I mean, what better combo to have?
Awesome. Patrick, thank you for joining us. For CHGO Cubs, I'm Ryan Herrera. We'll see you later.
We're going to react to that here in a minute. Just want to remind y'all, the Chicago collection is out. The new CHGO Chicago collection. You got the L Train hoodie / shirt. You got the black T-shirt as well. Second City. You got the green shirt with
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day with the flag, and obviously the pizza. You can get the hoodie. There's a T-shirt as well. Get it now while it's hot, because this is probably, in my personal opinion, some of the best merch we've ever put out. So get that now. We also, just in terms of other merch too, we got the Cody Bellinger shirt is still out there. You know, you can get that, and then
the belly bomb.
Yeah, and then the bring Sammy home.
Bring him home.
Right. And then what else? You become a diehard. You become a diehard. You can get one of these shirts that we just put out for free on top of, you know, the Discord. You get the 20% off other merch. You get
discount on events.
Yeah, discounts on events. I was about to say that. Thank you, Sarah.
I mean, a lot of the people in the YouTube chat right now are also diehards and in the Discord and going a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. There's no better time than become a diehard right now, because the baseball season is coming, right? And I'm telling y'all, it's a lot more fun being a diehard and riding the roller coaster of this team in 2024, being a diehard than not. That's just, you know, my personal opinion. So you can do all that. I mentioned at the top of the show, we got our takeovers this year in 2024. Our first one's in the beginning of June against the Sox. Then we're doing a road trip to Milwaukee in June, and then Rizzo coming back to Wrigley in September with the Yankees. If you're a diehard, you can get those takeover events 20% off.
Yep.
So
it pays for itself.
Pays for itself, brother. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
But let me also tell you about Charlie the Bacon Guy.
Oh my God.
Our good friend Charlie the Bacon Guy, based out of Woodridge, Illinois. He makes craft bacon and bacon jams in over 35 different flavors. Bacon and bacon jams are all naturally cured, preservative-free products. No ingredients that Charlie can't pronounce himself involved in the process, unlike most store-bought bacon. Erythorbate and sodium ascorbate, for example.
Hell yeah.
So me and Charlie,
yeah, brother.
me Charlie, that's the me Charlie, not being able to pronounce those words. Vacuum sealed and freezes perfectly. Bacon lasts in the package up to 60 days in the freezer, 1 week after the seal is broken, and 9 months in the freezer. Did I say 60 days in the fridge? 1 week after the seal is broken, and 9 months in the freezer.
Nope.
Bacon jam lasts about 90 days in the fridge and up to 1 year in the freezer. But if you're keeping bacon in the freezer that long, you are doing it wrong. Check out that awesome merch as well. Beanies, hats, T-shirts, stickers, and coffee mugs. What's your favorite flavor? Favorite flavor, Cody?
The raspberry chipotle stole my heart whenever Charlie was here. Yeah, after Charlie was here like 2 weeks ago. Or maybe it was right before I went to Arizona. It's like 3 weeks ago. I had the raspberry chipotle for the first time. It was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm big on the chorizo and the French toast.
Ooh.
I think those both smack.
Absolutely.
But you also, the bacon jam flavors, you got your original bourbon, mango habanero, and cherry jalapeno. The bacon jam goes perfectly on anything. Put it on scrambled eggs, toast, crackers, burgers, grilled cheese, charcuterie boards, cinnamon rolls, or a bunch of different stuff. Goes great with it all. The Bacon Vault, it's got all the flavors he's made in the past. If it is not currently available, give Charlie about 2 weeks and he will make it for you. Starting now, you can save 10% on your order at charliethebaconguy.com when you use code CHGO at checkout. You can pick it up, which is the most efficient way for you, or he can deliver it to you, meet you halfway, or even ship it. He makes the bacon so you can bring it home. Again, charliethebaconguy.com, code CHGO. Also, go follow him on social media because he's got a lot of great stuff out there.
Absolutely. All right. We have a super chat that was sent probably towards the beginning of the show, and I'm sorry for not reading it. This is why Luke is better at this job than me. From Fernando, our good pal. He's asking home opener meet and greet and like a location as well. I
think we're still getting that ironed out.
We're still
right?
getting it ironed out, but I believe we are doing something.
There will be something.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely going to be an event. It's still just nuts and bolts getting it
It's
figured
being
out.
ironed out, but there will be something, so stay tuned.
They're for sure going to be doing like a watch party for the opening day.
Opening.
That's in Texas, but like I believe it's going to be at Country Club. So, yeah.
There's a ton of events coming up, though, for baseball.
We got a lot.
We will,
a lot of events.
When it's official, we will be tweeting links out and putting it in the description, and you guys can all RSVP to come to those. But yeah, I can't wait.
We'll keep
literally like 23 days from opening day, and then like, I don't know, 25 days till the home opener, 26, something like that. Yeah, don't let the facts get a good story.
We are looking forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait. And then there was another comment. W. Collins. Also, Barb sent one. I'm going to read that one too because it was very funny, but also like, come on, Barb. But this one from W. Collins, this goes into Patrick Wisdom, replying to Susie saying, I can see him going or leaving honestly. No hate on anyone. Just personally think he provides value at how much he costs. Credit to Cody for pointing that out. Just, again, credit to me.
What? As if we haven't talked about that for like the last year.
Well, I legitimately wanted to bring the comment up because I did go to Fangraphs and bring up, and we've talked about this before, in the second half of the season from
82 plate appearances, 147 WRC plus.
Yes,
I've had that.
Thank you. I know you've mentioned. I was giving you credit. All right. Yeah, 147 WRC plus and 82 play appearances from July 15th to the very end of the season. So that's two and a half months where he didn't even get 100 plate appearances. So this is honestly, outside of just the numbers, I'm just emphasizing again that he is a role player that is not going to play every day, barring injury, right? Like unless like there's a lot of injuries, there's no possible way that Patrick Wisdom is going to be getting significant playing time. So, and I will say, for everyone who complains about his strikeouts in those 82 play appearances, he did strike out 25 times. That's 30% strikeout rate. So that fits your narrative for you guys, I'm sure.
Which for the power that he provides is fine. Like he had a 947 OPS, a 630 slug. He actually hit 247, which is pretty good for Patrick Wisdom. Again, a guy that has just a ton of power, but it's also a ton of swing and miss.
Yeah.
And he had 9 home runs. Do you know how many other hits he had combined in that time? And this is in 73 plate appearance or 73 at bat. So like again, the average is still fine for him.
Yeah.
He had 9 home runs. Do you know how many other hits he had in that time?
Let me look.
He had 9 more.
Yeah,
he had 9 home
18
runs.
18 hits total.
He had 18. He was 18 for 73 in that
9
time.
Hits,
yeah,
yes.
247 average. He had half of his hits in that time were home runs.
Yeah.
Like he provides value. He has value. He has a role on this team. He shouldn't be starting. We know that, right? Unless he was able to figure out one, how to cut down the strikeouts, how to just be better in most other matchups and play consistent defense at either third or first base. He probably shouldn't be in the starting lineup. But when you're talking about that, there's plenty of left-handed pitchers. There's plenty of soft-throwing pitchers that are out there that and we saw it in the second half. He can exploit those matchups. So he's got a role on this team.
Yeah. So again, like I understand the frustration he brings because let's be real, he is an all or nothing player. Like he's either going to hit a home run, strike out, or walk, for the most part. But again, if you're doing it in a smaller role, you can live with it. And I think that's the point that at least I'm trying to make. All right. So now the other comment was from Barb, who said that Ryan needs to, what would be a good idea to give Ryan a phone book to sit on when interviewing him. And I'm just got to say, Godmother,
that was mean.
That was mean. And that's coming from me, considering how much of a love-hate relationship me and Ryan have. All right. Godmother, like, I think you should apologize to Ryan personally.
I think you should too. I
kind of think that was rude too.
I thought it was rude. Everyone else was saying great job, great interview.
Yeah.
The only comment I got from Barb was, Ryan, get a phone book so you look taller.
Like you're sitting next to a professional MLB baseball player that's
6'2".
Yeah.
220 pounds, maybe even more.
Godfather,
Give me a break.
Godfather criticizes every single player, but he's never said anything that mean, in my personal opinion. So I'm asking for an apology from Godmother.
That was rude. Also, something we haven't pointed out is the fact that Wisdom's still a cheap contract, $2.725 million.
Yeah, I think, and that's the big thing for me too, is that you're not.
It's a cheap deal.
Yeah,
for a guy who, again, a cheap deal for a guy that has a very real role, and it's not an everyday role. And if you're expecting him to turn into an everyday player at this point, then you're holding out false hope. Like, he's not going to be that. But when you're talking about a guy that, and Craig Counsell has specifically talked about the game-changing power that he has, because we've seen it. We've seen it plenty of times over the last 3 years that he has real game-changing power. He gets a hold of one, and he can turn around a game in one swing of the bat. So that all just plays into the fact that he has a role on this team. He absolutely does.
And I don't think he's blocking prospects. I really don't.
We're talking about first base at this point. Like, he's blocking Garrett Cooper.
Michael Busch is going to get that opportunity, I think. I think we
for
all
sure.
believe that. And again, like I said before the interview, I think we're playing this interview today because largely we're not sure if he will make that roster, because hell, he could be traded considering the amount of first basemen that they're looking at right now for whatever reason. I really don't understand it. But I personally hope that he does make it. I'd rather have him on the team than Garrett Cooper or Dom Smith, personally.
Yeah, I mean, and Garrett Cooper's a good hitter too. Dom Smith, we'll see. Matt Mervis is part of that depth still, but we just he just didn't have the consistent success at the big leagues. I know he had a little bit of bad luck with he had a lot of hard contact, and the BABIP was really low, so probably was a little less fortunate than he could have been. But he also struck out a lot. He had swing and miss issues at the big league level that was definitely something he needs to work on. So right now, if you're looking at the first base group, Michael Busch, we know is going to get that opportunity to start, but Patrick Wisdom fits in. If he can play, good defensive first base, that's definitely something he has to prove too.
Sure.
But he fits in right there behind him in that group, I think. Yeah.
As far
he's got a role. As
far as the actual interview that you did have with him, I thought it was interesting. Him talking about the core, the old core, playing with those guys, and the experience he had with that, and what he's I do believe he's providing some sort of veteran, not necessarily leadership, but just veteran presence to a lot of these young guys. Help teaching guys how to become a big leaguer and all this. I don't know if I said this on the show, but a couple, when I was in Arizona, when I was waiting around because you had to be at the ballpark super early and I didn't, but I was there because we shared a car.
Credit to me for driving you to
credit to you for doing that. I did get the opportunity to watch Albert Alzolay and Hayden Wisniewski kind of walk around the practice field across from Sloan Park. They were just walking the entire diamond, and as they got to the side that I was, there was literally no one around. It was so quiet to where I could hear them talking, their conversation. And Albert was giving Hayden this advice on how to be a big leaguer and all this stuff. And it was wow, this isn't just a bunch of bullshit that people say in the media. He was legitimately trying to give him advice or whatever. Yeah. And so my point is that Patrick Wisdom has to be someone like that. He's been in the majors for a long time. Or at least in around baseball for a really long time. Can help some of these young guys. I think he can help, be someone that guys can go to for advice and stuff like that. And again, there's only so much value in that. I understand that, but
there is value.
Yeah, I think that you need some of those guys on a roster for sure. And to me, Wisdom isn't Trey Mancini or Eric Hosmer or Tucker Barnhart. He's been on the team for a handful of years and has provided value in some ways. So I like the fact that he's here, especially in the role that he's going to be in 2024. Again, if he's getting everyday play appearances, we got a massive problem. There's a lot of injuries of some sorts, but again, with the role that he's going to be in 2024, I like it. So I hope he makes it to opening day.
No, I see it, especially considering Busch is the lefty guy, having a righty there to spell him sometimes. Give him a day if there's a matchup that doesn't quite work for what Busch is good at, or if he's struggling and you can put him in there, whatever it is. I think he fits in well behind Bush, especially knowing that Bush is going to get that opening day spot or, the starting spot to start the year. Cheap contract. It all works into I think he's got a role. I think he proved last year that he does have a role and can thrive in a matchup based role. And I think that's enough for me. That's enough that he should be on the roster to start the year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have a handful more of these. I know you talked to more than just Patrick Wisdom out there, so we'll play them in the coming days, I'm sure.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's basically I did write down that, Madrigal, I know some people were freaking out about Madrigal yesterday. It turned they're saying it's a right leg cramp, so not too serious.
Doesn't sound too serious.
The Sun-Times was seeing Ian Happ playing catch, so that feels like a good sign. And then Brennan Davis, he's starting to ramp up on physical activity because he did have that go into concussion protocol over the weekend, I believe, and was seen playing catch as well by the Sun-Times. So I just wanted to point those things out.
There's another Wisdom thing, wasn't there?
Yeah, the quad.
He's still
he's still
slowed down
by it. Yeah. So we'll continue to monitor, but yeah. Oh, and Bellinger's going to DH tomorrow for everyone that's been waiting for that. He's going to DH tomorrow. All right. So nothing serious. Gotta say that it's a good thing that it doesn't feel so serious for a lot of these guys. For me, freaking out yesterday about Ian Happ, to hear that he was playing catch or whatever, to me is encouraging. Obviously, we still got to see. He's got to get into some games and stuff, but it is encouraging. And considering Sonny Gray, Kodai Senga, and Lucas Giolito, those are the three I think of off the top of my head. Those guys are hurt early in camp here for those three different teams. I think you have to feel good about the Cubs and the injury status right now for a lot of their players. So take some solace into that, guys. All right. So we'll be back tomorrow, 3:30.
Yep.
Talking about whatever. I don't know what. Hopefully some crazy shit happens tonight. We can talk about it.
At least Corey will be in. We know for
Corey
sure.
will be back. We'll be in here tomorrow. We can tell him belated birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Corey.
There you go. We may be 4 wide. We'll see.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.